Hi there.
Hi.
Nice to see you here.
Thank you. I found out that there was a Yellow Vest movement starting in Vancouver, so I decided to come out from the suburbs and join in.
Awesome.
I've been an avid fan of what's going on in Alberta and the western provinces right now, particularly the trucking convoys that are having probably the most impact. And I love what's going to happen in February and hope everything ramps up towards that. Now, why am I here? There's a lot of stuff going on in Canadian politics today that nobody voted on. Nobody voted for the UN Migration Pact. Nobody voted for the carbon tax. Nobody voted for the pipelines to get shut down
We
by
weren't sent
Bill
anything in the mail
69.
to vote for any of this.
None of it was brought to the Canadian citizens.
Thank you.
Yet the government in power today seems to go along that they're hearing the Canadian voices. I don't know who they're hearing, and they're putting forward these new policies without listening to the people. Now, the government's supposed to represent the people of Canada, and they're acting like we're idiots. I watched the question periods in Parliament, and they're actually very embarrassing, this particular group that's in control right now, because they're given logical questions in the Canadian Parliament, and they never answer the question with a straight answer. It's always
Skittle around it.
and a lot of us, Canadian citizens, are getting fed up with Canadian politics the way it's working today, because there's no more parliamentary procedure. There's no more, hey, it's question period. I'm going to give you an honest answer to your honest question. And even if you don't like my answer, I'm going to tell you an answer. But that seems to be completely missing. And every time I watch these speakers in Parliament answering those questions with unrelated topics, all the Liberal heads in the background are nodding. Now, this isn't party specific that I'm complaining about. What I'm complaining about is that everybody in the background of currently Trudeau is just nodding their heads. Nobody is speaking up, representing their constituents and saying, no, sir, I don't agree with you. They're all voting in bloc. So what's the point?
Yeah.
So I'm watching the effectiveness of, first of all, the European movement in France and how the people were heard there. I've seen the movement come over here to Canada. The western provinces of Alberta and, frankly, Saskatchewan are in crisis right now. They're not being heard. They're getting the son's finger like the father's finger. And I had a family that emigrated to Alberta. I'm only a second-generation Canadian. So I'm here as a new arrival, essentially, that blended into the Canadian melting pot. My other half of my family was also an immigration family. Basically, my grandfather and grandmothers moved to Canada, settled, and become immigrants and melt in.
Yes.
So I believe that immigration can have a positive impact. I believe in vetted immigration. I don't believe in open-door policies. I think we're supposed to have a sovereign nation.
Yes.
And nobody's listening to us common folk people.
Yes.
I'm a guy who ran a business in the suburbs, raised a family, I have grandchildren, and I expect my MPs to listen to me when I have something to say and not all nod their heads in unison behind the particular person talking in Parliament today.
Beautiful, yeah.
Again, governments change every 4 to 8 years. I expect that. Sometimes this group is heard, sometimes that group is heard, but please listen to the people of Canada. That's what you're there for.
Who do you think they're listening to?
They're listening to their party groups in the background. Frankly, the person in there right now is one of the worst I've seen because he acts more like a dictator. I have family that votes both ways. This isn't a political discussion that I'm making here. This is Canada's governing groups are making things fall apart. Because the people are supposed to have the power. They're supposed to go there and represent us.
Yes.
The MPs are supposed to represent our individual riding's opinions, so whatever that might be every 48 years.
You think they're being controlled, whether they're Liberal or Conservative NDP, you think they're controlled by the same people?
Well, they're controlled by their own party groups, and they're forgetting to listen to the people. Yeah. I'm a person, again, just a civilian out of the suburbs, and I am absolutely fed up. I put on this yellow vest to honor everything that's going on. Frankly, Mark Hahn is a good representation of what Trudeau has been doing. He wasn't listening, and the people standing and protesting en masse, they got hurt. They lost their carbon tax.
Yeah.
Again, I didn't vote for carbon tax. I didn't vote for this UN open immigration policy. I want a sovereign Canada, or frankly, I want the West to leave Canada. I'm done with the East and that kind of mentality, if that's what it's going to be. But I'm happy to stay within the family if we can all communicate responsibly.
Beautiful.
So the government